The vast emptiness of space surrounded the dormant Earth fleet. For 500,000 years, these massive ships had drifted silently through the cosmic void. Their hulls were scarred by countless impacts from space debris, a testament to their long journey. Suddenly, a soft blue light blinked to life on the flagship's control panel. It was barely noticeable at first, but soon it grew stronger. The ancient AI systems, designed by the brightest minds of old Earth, began to wake up. Emergency protocol initiated. The AI's robotic voice echoed through the empty corridors. Crew revival sequence activated. Deep within the ship, rows upon rows of cryopods hummed to life. Frost melted away from their glass covers, revealing the sleeping faces of Earth's last hope. These were not just soldiers or scientists, but the best and brightest humanity had to offer. In pod number 1, Captain Sarah Chen's eyes fluttered open. She gasped, her lungs filling with air for the first time in 500,000 years. Her mind raced to catch up with her body. "Status report," she croaked, her voice hoarse from centuries of disuse. The AI responded promptly. "All systems operational, Captain. Crew revival at 100%. We have reached the designated coordinates." Sarah stumbled out of her pod, her legs weak, but quickly regaining strength. Around her, other crew members were waking up, looking just as confused and disoriented. "Where's Earth?" asked Lieutenant Jack Morrison, rubbing his eyes. "Shouldn't we be able to see it by now?" Sarah moved to the nearest viewport, her heart pounding. What she saw made her blood run cold. Where Earth should have been, there was only a barren, lifeless rock. "My God," she whispered. "What happened?" The AI's voice cut through the growing murmur of shock and dismay. "According to my calculations, the Earth underwent a catastrophic climate change event approximately 100,000 years after our departure. The planet is no longer capable of supporting human life." A heavy silence fell over the crew. They had known this was a possibility when they left, but facing the reality was different. Earth, their home, was gone. Sarah straightened her back, pushing down her emotions. There would be time to mourn later. Now they had a mission. "All right, people," she said, her voice strong and clear. "We knew this might happen. That's why we're here. Our mission hasn't changed. We're going to find a new home for humanity." As the crew bustled into action, checking systems and running diagnostics, Sarah turned to her second in command. "Jack, what's our status?" Jack was bent over a console, his face illuminated by holographic displays. "All ships in the fleet are reporting in. We've got 5 colony ships, each carrying 10,000 colonists in cryosleep, 10 warships, including us. And, wait, what's this?" He zoomed in on a section of the star map. "Captain, you need to see this." Sarah leaned in, her eyes widening. The map showed thousands of unknown structures scattered across the galaxy. Space stations, artificial planets, and massive ships that dwarfed their own. "Are those alien civilizations?" she breathed. The AI chimed in. "Affirmative, Captain. It appears that in our absence, the galaxy has become heavily populated. My analysis suggests a vast empire spanning multiple star systems." Jack looked at Sarah, his face pale. "What do we do now? We're outnumbered, probably outgunned." Sarah stared at the map, her mind racing. Then, slowly, a smile spread across her face. It wasn't a warm smile, but one that promised challenge and excitement. "Now, Lieutenant, now we do what humans do best. We adapt, we survive, and we show this galaxy that humanity is a force to be reckoned with." She turned to address the entire bridge crew. "Listen up. We may be late to the party, but we're going to make one hell of an entrance. Earth may be gone, but we carry its legacy, its spirit, its determination." Her words sparked a fire in the eyes of her crew. They stood straighter, moved with purpose. "We have the element of surprise," Sarah continued. "No one out there knows we exist. We're going to use that. We'll observe, we'll learn, and when the time is right, we'll strike. The galaxy thinks it's seen everything. Well, it hasn't seen us yet." As her words rang out, the dormant engines of the Earth fleet roared to life. The ships, ancient yet powerful, began to move with purpose. Humanity's greatest adventure was about to begin, and the unsuspecting galaxy had no idea what was coming. Captain Sarah Chen stood before the massive holographic display on the bridge of the Earth flagship, Horizon. The 3D map of the galaxy swirled before her, filled with countless pinpricks of light representing stars, planets, and alien structures. "It's beautiful," whispered Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez, the ship's chief scientist, "and terrifying." Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the display. "AI, give us a breakdown of what we're seeing." The AI's calm voice filled the room. "The galaxy is now dominated by a vast empire known as the Galactic Concordat. They control approximately 70% of all known star systems." As the AI spoke, large sections of the map lit up in a deep purple color. "Their technology appears to be significantly advanced compared to our own," the AI continued. "However, there are no signs that they possess faster-than-light communication. This suggests they rely on ship-based couriers for long-distance messaging." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "That could be an advantage for us. What about their military strength?" The map zoomed in on several key points, highlighting massive space stations and fleets of ships. "The Concordat maintains a substantial military presence throughout their territory," the AI reported. "However, their forces are spread thin due to the vast area they control." Lieutenant Jack Morrison, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. "Captain, look at this." He pointed to a section of the map near the galaxy's outer rim. "These systems here, they're not part of the Concordat." The AI confirmed. "Correct. Approximately 20% of the galaxy remains independent or under the control of smaller factions. Many of these appear to be in conflict with the Concordat." Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. "Potential allies," she murmured. Emma looked worried. "But Captain, even with allies, we're severely outnumbered and technologically outmatched. How can we possibly hope to stand against an empire that controls most of the galaxy?" Sarah turned to her crew, a determined glint in her eye. "The same way humanity has always faced overwhelming odds, with courage, ingenuity, and a hell of a lot of surprises." She tapped a few controls, and the map zoomed out to show the entire galaxy again. "Look at this empire. It's vast, yes, but that's also its weakness. They're spread thin, complacent. They haven't faced a real challenge in who knows how long." Jack nodded, catching on. "And they have no idea we exist. We're completely off their radar." "Exactly," Sarah said with a grin. "We're going to be the biggest shock this galaxy has seen in millennia." She turned back to the map, her voice taking on a tone of command. "Here's what we're going to do. First, we need more information. Emma, I want you and your team to analyze every scrap of data we can gather about the Concordat's technology. Find their weaknesses." Emma saluted. "Yes, Captain." "Jack, you're in charge of reconnaissance. Use our stealth ships to scout key Concordat positions. I want to know their patrol routes, their response times, everything." "On it, Captain," Jack replied. Sarah continued. "We'll also reach out to some of these independent factions, carefully. We need allies, but we can't risk exposing ourselves too soon." She paused, looking at each of her officers in turn. "I won't lie to you. What we're attempting is unprecedented. We're a small fleet from a dead world, about to take on the rulers of an entire galaxy." The bridge was silent, every eye fixed on their captain. Sarah's voice softened. "But remember this, we carry with us the legacy of Earth, the creativity, the determination, the sheer stubborn will that took our species from caves to the stars. The Concordat may rule the galaxy, but they've never faced anything like humanity before." She straightened, her voice ringing with authority. "We're going to remind this galaxy of something it's forgotten. Never underestimate the human spirit. Are you with me?" A chorus of "Yes, Captain," echoed through the bridge. As her crew sprang into action, Sarah turned back to the galactic map. Somewhere out there, the Concordat continued about its business, unaware that their world was about to be turned upside down. Ready or not, Sarah whispered to the oblivious Empire, "Here we come." The Earth fleet began to move, silent and invisible, preparing to shake the very foundations of the galaxy. The Earth fleet hung silently in the dark space of an uninhabited system. On the flagship horizon, Captain Sarah Chen walked through the busy halls. Everywhere, crew members were hard at work. In the main engineering bay, Sarah found Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez surrounded by holographic displays of alien technology. Emma's eyes were wide with excitement. "Captain, you won't believe what we've discovered," Emma said. "The Concordat's tech is advanced, but it's stagnant. They haven't made any major breakthroughs in thousands of years." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "How is that possible?" Emma shrugged. "Complacency, maybe. But here's the exciting part. Our 500,000-year-old tech isn't that far behind. And with the innovations we're making, we might even surpass them in some areas." Sarah grinned. "Excellent work, Emma. Keep pushing. I want every advantage we can get." Next, Sarah headed to the Stealth Ops Center. Lieutenant Jack Morrison was there, reviewing footage from recon missions. "Report, Jack," Sarah said. Jack looked up, his face grim but determined. "We've successfully infiltrated 3 major Concordat systems. Their security is good, but not unbeatable. We've mapped patrol routes, identified key installations, and—" he paused for effect. "We've managed to hack into some of their low-level communication networks." Sarah's eyes widened. "Already? That's impressive work, Jack." He nodded. "It gets better. We've discovered that the Concordat is facing internal problems. There's unrest in the outer systems, and some of the alien races under their control are pushing for more autonomy." Sarah's mind raced with the possibilities. "That could work in our favor. Good job, Jack. Keep digging." As Sarah left the ops center, her communicator beeped. "Captain," the AI's voice said, "we're picking up a distress signal from a nearby system. It appears to be a small fleet under attack by Concordat forces." Sarah's heart raced. This could be their chance to make first contact with potential allies. But it was risky. If they revealed themselves too soon, they'd lose their element of surprise. She made her decision. "Prep a stealth team. We're going to check this out, but we're not revealing our full presence yet." Hours later, Sarah stood on the bridge of a small, stealthy ship as it approached the battle scene. Through the view screen, she saw a handful of scrappy-looking ships desperately evading fire from 3 sleek Concordat cruisers. "Life signs?" Sarah asked. "Multiple species detected on the fleeing ships," the AI reported. "No match with known Concordat races." Sarah nodded. "All right, let's introduce ourselves. Jam the Concordat's communications and weapons. Fire a warning shot across their bow." A beam of energy flashed past the Concordat ships, causing them to halt their attack in confusion. "Open a channel to the fleeing ships," Sarah ordered. "Audio only." When the channel opened, Sarah spoke clearly and confidently. "This is Captain Chen of the independent ship Shadow. We're here to help. Can you make it to these coordinates?" She transmitted the location of a nearby moon. A gravelly voice responded, sounding shocked but grateful. "By the stars, yes, yes, we can make it. Thank you, whoever you are." As the Ragdig fleet fled towards the moon, the Concordat ships tried to follow. But with their systems jammed, they could only watch helplessly as their prey escaped. On the moon's surface, Sarah met with the leaders of the rescued fleet. They were a diverse group, some humanoid, others distinctly alien. All looked at Sarah and her team with a mixture of gratitude and curiosity. "We thank you for your help," said a tall, blue-skinned alien. "But I must ask, who are you? We've never seen your kind before." Sarah smiled mysteriously. "Let's just say we're new to this part of the galaxy. and were not fans of the Concordat. The aliens exchanged glances. The blue one spoke again. Neither are we. We're part of a growing rebel alliance, fighting for freedom from Concordat rule. Sarah's heart leaped. This was exactly the kind of contact they'd hoped for. Well then, she said, extending her hand in a universal gesture of friendship, I think we have a lot to talk about. As the rebels began to share their knowledge of the Concordat and the growing resistance, Sarah knew they'd just taken their first real step towards shaking up the galaxy. The human fleet might be small, but with the right allies and the element of surprise, they were about to become the Concordat's worst nightmare. The Concordat shipyard buzzed with activity. Massive ships hung in space, surrounded by swarms of worker drones. In the command center, Admiral Zexlor of the Concordat forces yawned, his 4 eyes blinking slowly. It was another boring day in the most secure sector of the Empire. Little did Zexlor know that was about to change. Hidden behind a nearby moon, the Earth fleet prepared for their first major strike. On the bridge of the horizon, Captain Sarah Chen took a deep breath. All ships report ready, Captain, Lieutenant Jack Morrison said. Sarah nodded. Send the signal to our allies. Across the sector, ships of the Rebel Alliance moved into position. They had been skeptical of the humans at first, but Sarah's bold plan had won them over. Remember, Sarah addressed her crew, we hit hard and fast. Show them what humanity can do. With a gesture from Sarah, the attack began. The first sign of trouble for the Concordat came when their long-range sensors suddenly went dark. Before they could react, the Earth fleet appeared, as if from nowhere. Admiral Zexlor jumped to his feet. Impossible. How did they get past our defenses? The answer came in the form of a barrage of missiles, unlike anything the Concordat had seen before. They weaved through point defense fire with impossible agility. On the horizon, Emma Rodriguez grinned. Looks like our smart missiles are working perfectly, Captain. The shipyard erupted into chaos. Earth ships, smaller but far more maneuverable than their Concordat counterparts, darted between the massive alien vessels. They fired with pinpoint accuracy, disabling key systems. Sarah watched the battle unfold, calling out orders. Alpha Team, take out those defense platforms. Beta, focus on the communications array. The rebel ships joined the fray, adding to the confusion. The Concordat forces, caught completely off guard, struggled to mount an effective defense. Admiral Zexlor frantically tried to organize his forces, call for reinforcements, launch all fighters. But the call for help never went out. The humans had already destroyed the long-range communicators. As Concordat ships exploded or drifted powerless, Sarah noticed a massive vessel at the heart of the shipyard. What's that? She asked. Jack checked his readouts. Some kind of super dreadnought, Captain. Still under construction. Sarah's eyes gleamed. Perfect. Let's give them a real surprise. All ships, focus fire on that dreadnought. The Earth fleet converged on the half-built giant. Their weapons, enhanced by 500,000 years of dormant AI improvements, tore through its unfinished defenses. In his command center, Admiral Zexlor watched in horror as the pride of the Concordat fleet crumbled. No, this can't be happening. With a final, massive explosion, the dreadnought split apart. The shockwave took out several nearby Concordat ships. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Signal the retreat. Let's disappear before they know what hit them. As quickly as they had appeared, the Earth ships vanished, leaving devastation in their wake. The rebel ships, too, melted away into the darkness of space. Admiral Zexlor stood amid the wreckage of his command center, his mind reeling. How had this happened? Who were these mysterious attackers? Light years away, the Earth fleet regrouped with their rebel allies. Cheers echoed through the ships as the scale of their victory became clear. On the horizon's bridge, Jack read out the report. Concordat losses. 1 super dreadnought, 37 capital ships, over 100 support vessels. The shipyard is crippled. Our losses. Minor damage to 3 ships. No casualties. Sarah nodded. her face serious despite the victory. Send word to all our allies. The attack was a success, but this is just the beginning. The Concordat will be reeling, confused. We need to press our advantage. As her crew celebrated around her, Sarah stared out at the stars. They had struck a mighty blow, but she knew the real war was just beginning. The Concordat was vast and powerful. They would not take this defeat lightly. But for the first time, in 500,000 years, humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy, and they had done so with a roar, not a whimper. "All right, people," Sarah called out, bringing her crew's attention back. "Enjoy the victory, but stay sharp. We've got a galaxy to liberate, and the real fight is just getting started." The news of the devastating attack on the Concordat shipyard spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In the grand halls of the Concordat capital world, Zenthra Prime, chaos reigned. Supreme Leader Vex'Elia, a tall, slender alien with iridescent skin, stood before the Galactic Council. Her usually calm demeanor was shaken. "How is this possible?" she demanded. "Who are these attackers?" The council members, representatives from various alien races, muttered among themselves. None had answers. Admiral Zexlor, summoned from the ruined shipyard, stepped forward. "Supreme Leader, they came out of nowhere. Their technology, it was like nothing we've ever seen." Meanwhile, light years away, Captain Sarah Chen and her team were busy. The Earth fleet had retreated to a hidden base provided by their rebel allies. Sarah stood before a holographic map, planning their next move. "The Concordat is in disarray. We need to capitalize on this." Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez burst into the room, her eyes wide with excitement. "Captain, you won't believe what's happening." She activated a galactic news feed. Alien faces flashed across the screen, all talking about the mysterious attack. Unprecedented assault on Concordat forces. Unknown species with advanced technology. Rebel factions gaining courage across the galaxy. Sarah watched, a mix of pride and concern on her face. "Looks like we've stirred up quite a hornet's nest." Back on Zenthra Prime, Supreme Leader Vex'Elia faced a growing crisis. Reports were coming in from across the Empire. Emboldened by the attack, rebel factions were rising up on dozens of worlds. "Crush them," Vex'Elia ordered. "Send our fleets to every rebellious system." But as the Concordat forces spread thin trying to contain the uprisings, more problems arose. On the mineral-rich world of Kars, the native Karjans saw their chance. Their ambassador, Grok, addressed the Galactic Council via hologram. "For too long we've suffered under Concordat rule," Grok's gravelly voice boomed. "We demand independence, or we'll join these new rebels." Similar ultimatums came from other worlds. The Concordat's iron grip on the galaxy was slipping. In their hidden base, the Earth fleet received a flurry of messages. Lieutenant Jack Morrison reported to Sarah, "Captain, we're getting requests for alliances from all over the galaxy. Some are offering us advanced tech, others vital resources." Sarah nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "Looks like we've started a revolution. Let's make the most of it." She turned to her team. "Emma, I want you working with our new allies. See what tech we can adapt to give us an even bigger edge. Jack, coordinate with the rebel factions. We need to strike while the Concordat is off balance." As her crew rushed to their tasks, Sarah allowed herself a moment of reflection. They had come so far from being the last remnants of a dead Earth. Now, they were the spark that ignited a galactic uprising. But with their growing influence came new challenges. Some alien races, fearful of the Concordat's retaliation, were reluctant to join the rebels. Others saw the humans as potential conquerors, no better than the Concordat. Sarah knew they had to tread carefully. "We're not here to replace one empire with another," she told her officers. "We're fighting for freedom, for everyone." Her words spread across the rebel alliance, winning more hearts and minds. On Zenthra Prime, Supreme Leader Vex'Elia realized the gravity of the situation. She gathered her top military and scientific advisors. "Find out everything you can about these humans," she ordered. Where they came from, how they got here, and most importantly, how to stop them. As the Concordat scrambled to respond to this new threat, the galaxy held its breath. Centuries of established order were crumbling. In hidden bases, rebel ships, and on countless worlds, people looked to the stars with a new emotion: hope. And at the center of it all was the Earth fleet, a force that had slumbered for 500,000 years, now fully awake and ready to reshape the galaxy. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching her crew work with their new alien allies. She smiled, thinking of how far they'd come and the challenges still ahead. "All right, Galaxy," she whispered to herself. "Let's see what humanity can really do." The Concordat had finally gathered its full might. Thousands of ships filled the space around Zenthra Prime, their hulls gleaming in the light of 3 suns. Supreme Leader Vex'ahlia stood on the bridge of her flagship, her iridescent skin shimmering with determination. "Today, we crushed this human rebellion," she declared to her assembled admirals. "The galaxy will remember why the Concordat has ruled for millennia." Light years away in the rebel base, Captain Sarah Chen received the news. The Concordat fleet was on the move, heading towards the Carzian system, home to one of their strongest allies. Sarah's face was grim as she addressed the united rebel forces. Aliens of all shapes and sizes crowded the command center, their eyes fixed on the human captain who had sparked their revolution. "This is it," Sarah said, her voice steady. "The battle we've been preparing for. The Concordat thinks their numbers will overwhelm us. Let's show them what the combined ingenuity of free people can do." As the rebel fleet moved out, Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez approached Sarah. "Captain, remember that Concordat tech we've been studying? I think we've cracked it." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Show me." In the engine room, Emma pointed to a strange device hooked up to their main systems. "We call it the Chaos Engine. It can disrupt the Concordat's quantum communication networks. They won't be able to coordinate their attacks." Sarah grinned. "Emma, you're a genius. Get it ready." The 2 fleets met in the Carzian system. The sight was awe-inspiring. The massive Concordat armada facing off against the smaller but more diverse rebel force. Supreme Leader Vex'ahlia's voice boomed across all channels. "Rebels, surrender now, and we may show mercy." Sarah's response was simple. "Here's our answer." She nodded to Lieutenant Jack Morrison. Jack hit a button, and suddenly, hundreds of small, unmanned ships appeared around the rebel fleet. Holographic technology, courtesy of their Carzian allies, made their force appear much larger than it was. Confusion rippled through the Concordat fleet. Vex'ahlia snarled, "It's a trick. All ships, attack." The space between the fleets lit up with weapons fire. But as the Concordat ships tried to coordinate their assault, nothing worked as it should. On the horizon, Emma whooped with joy. "The Chaos Engine is working. Their systems are going haywire." Sarah allowed herself a small smile before barking orders. "All ships, engage as planned. Remember, we're not here to destroy them, just to break their power." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The rebel ships, though outnumbered, danced between the confused Concordat vessels. Human ingenuity combined with alien technologies in ways the Concordat couldn't predict. On her flagship, Vex'ahlia watched in horror as her carefully laid plans fell apart. "How is this possible?" she screamed as another of her dreadnoughts drifted powerless. The tide of the battle turned when the rebel forces managed to board Vex'ahlia's flagship. Sarah led the assault team herself, fighting through corridors alongside her alien allies. They burst onto the bridge, where Vex'ahlia stood defiant. "You think you've won, human," she spat. "You'll never control this galaxy." Sarah lowered her weapon. "We don't want to control it. We want to free it." As Sarah's words were broadcast across the fleet, something remarkable happened. Concordat ships began standing down. Crew members, long suppressed under the regime's iron rule, turned against their officers. The grand battle ended not with the destruction of the Concordat, but with its surrender. Vex'ahlia, seeing her empire crumble, finally gave the order to cease fire. In the aftermath, Sarah stood on the observation deck of the horizon, watching as ships from 100 worlds gathered around them. The Concordat fleet, once the oppressor, now hung in space, awaiting its fate. Lieutenant Jack approached, looking exhausted but happy. "Captain, you did it. You've liberated the galaxy." Sarah shook her head, smiling. "No, Jack. We all did it. Humans, Karjans, and every race that stood up for freedom. This victory belongs to all of us." As the stars shone around them, Sarah knew their greatest challenge was yet to come. They had won the war, but now they had to win the peace. Building a free galaxy would be harder than defeating the Concordat. But looking at the diverse fleet around her, ships of all shapes and sizes flying side by side, Sarah felt hope. Humanity had returned to the galactic stage, not as conquerors, but as liberators and allies. "Well," she said softly, "let's see what we can build together." 1 year had passed since the grand battle that toppled the Concordat. The galaxy was a changed place, buzzing with activity and hope. On the newly established neutral world of Unity, representatives from hundreds of species gathered for the first Galactic Council meeting. Captain Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood at the podium. The hall fell silent as she began to speak. "Friends, allies, fellow citizens of the galaxy," Sarah said, her voice carrying to every corner. "A year ago, we fought for freedom. Today, we build for the future." The crowd cheered. Among them were familiar faces: Lieutenant Jack Morrison, now a diplomat, and Dr. Emma Rodriguez, heading the new Galactic Science Initiative. Sarah continued, "The human fleet awakened to a galaxy in chains. Now we see a galaxy of possibilities." She gestured to a large holographic display showing the new galactic map. Gone were the oppressive purple hues of Concordat territory. Instead, a rainbow of colors represented free, independent worlds and alliances. "We've dismantled the Concordat's war machine," Sarah explained, "but we haven't destroyed their people or their worlds. Instead, we're working together to build something better." The display zoomed in on former Concordat worlds. Ships of all designs moved freely between them, exchanging goods and ideas. "Trade routes have been reopened," Sarah said. "Knowledge, once hoarded, is being shared. And perhaps most importantly, we're learning from each other." The scene shifted to show diverse groups of aliens working side by side in laboratories, shipyards, and farms. "But our work is far from over." Sarah's tone grew serious. "There are still those who resist change, who cling to old hatreds, and we face challenges none of us could have imagined." The display showed images of environmental disasters, refugee crises, and lingering conflicts. "Yet, I have hope," Sarah smiled, "because I've seen what we can accomplish when we work together. Humans may have been the spark, but all of you have fueled the fire of freedom and progress." As Sarah spoke, on a distant world, a team of human and alien scientists made a breakthrough. Dr. Emma Rodriguez's eyes widened as she looked at the results. "It's working," she exclaimed. "The terraforming process is stabilizing." Back in the council hall, Sarah was concluding her speech. "And so, I propose our next great mission, a project to heal wounded worlds, to make barren planets bloom." The holographic display shifted one last time, showing a familiar blue and green orb. A gasp rippled through the audience. Jack leaned over to the alien beside him. "That's Earth," he whispered. "Our homeworld." Sarah's voice swelled with emotion. "Earth, the cradle of humanity, has been a lifeless rock for 500,000 years. But with our combined knowledge, and the spirit of cooperation that now spans the galaxy, we can bring it back to life." The hall erupted in cheers and applause. Species that once fought each other now embraced, excited by the prospect of this monumental project. As the meeting adjourned, Sarah stepped down from the podium. She was immediately surrounded by well-wishers and allies, all eager to discuss the future. An elderly Karjan approached her, his eyes twinkling. "You know, Admiral," he said, "when your fleet first appeared, Some of us feared you might be conquerors." Sarah laughed. "And what do you think now?" The Karjan smiled. "I think the galaxy had grown stagnant, and you humans were exactly the shake-up we needed." As Sarah looked around the room, seeing the energy and hope on every face, she felt a profound sense of accomplishment. Humanity had not just found its place in the galaxy, it had helped reshape the galaxy itself. Later, standing on the observation deck of her ship, Sarah gazed out at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, waiting to be reborn. And beyond it, endless possibilities. "Well, old girl," she said softly to her ship, "looks like our adventure is just beginning." With a smile, Admiral Sarah Chen turned and walked back to the bridge. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter as her ship prepared to jump, ready for the next chapter in humanity's grand cosmic journey.